Hello, good evening, everyone. It is Monday again from 6 to 7 p.m. It is our show, Open Forum. I have four panels. We have co-hosts here. We have Charlotte Evans. We have Dari De Leon. And tonight we don't have Sharon Tanyag and we do not have Cesar El Idolo, but we do have Victoria Tambunting. The four of us will really interview our guest for tonight. I will introduce him in a little while, but right now this is Open Forum. We are live streaming from 6 to 7 p.m. every Monday, and compliments actually of PHLV Radio. Thank you so much, Johan Sison, the CEO of PHLV Radio. I would like to introduce to you all my co-hosts tonight. First off, I would like to introduce Ms. Charlotte Evans. Charlotte, please say hi to our listeners and viewers.
Hello, everybody. Happy Monday, and we're so glad you're joining us for Open Forum.
Okay, and now I have Miss Dolly De Leon.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our show, Open Forum, and we hope you'll enjoy it.
Okay, and last but not least, Miss Victoria Tambunting.
Hi guys, happy birthday to me!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
All right, so we're looking forward to a great show tonight.
Okay, okay. And now are you guys ready for our guest?
Yes.
The very handsome Air Force guy by the name of Mitch Michael Lozada.
Hi, good evening. Thank you for having me.
I invited him so that he can share what's going on right now in his place. You know, he was recommended to me by Miss Risa. Oh my goodness, I forgot Risa's last name. What is Risa's last name? Martinez. I'm sorry. There you go. Risa Martinez introduced him to me, and so we are going to interview Mitch Michael Lozada tonight. So Mitch, I will give you the time. Please talk to our audience and our panel for tonight.
Hi, sure, of course. Again, thank you for having me and everything. So again, I'm just a YouTuber, commenter, social, cultural, political commentary on my channel on YouTube, Mitch Lozada, just my name. And pretty much one thing that I like to promote is part of the Walk Away campaign started by Brandon Strzok. And so it's a walk away campaign coming from leaving the Democrats into like the independents, Republican, essentially just leaving the Democrats. So one thing that I want to promote is for the Asian Americans and especially the Filipino Americans to start waking up, because our values, Filipino values, are inherently conservative values. So I do believe in God, family, country. Those are my core values. And so one thing that I've been promoting is Walkawasian, hashtag Walkawasian, hashtag Filipino Exit, hashtag Filipino FLexit. So those are my biggest things. And, you know, and I think it's important for us to be vocal and be part of the community and part of showing our voices. So.
Okay.
Sounds great.
I just have one question, if you don't mind, before I let my panel ask their questions to you. Being in the Air Force, are you an officer? Are you an NCO, non-commissioned? What's your rank right now?
Yes, so I'm in the U.S. Air Force, and I am a staff sergeant stationed here in Vegas.
Okay. And when you say walk away, is that signifying something that you were before and not anymore now? Is that what you mean?
So for the most part, the Walk Away campaign is for former Democrats, but it's also incorporating people who were not necessarily politically activated or someone who wasn't really invested. And so that was my story too. I didn't really pay attention to a lot to politics. It was in summer 2018 then I was starting to quote unquote walk away. I was seeing a lot of this outrage clickbait online. If you see in Social Dilemma, like it kind of plays along with that. And so I've been seeing a lot of the narrative that's coming out of here. And then I've been searching on YouTube, things like Ben Shapiro, Jordan Peterson, and I'm seeing things that are countering the narrative. And then especially during the 2018-2019 switchover, there was the Kavanaugh hearing, and I started to see like all of that play out and how they were just treating him and putting him in a bad light just with false allegations just so that he can just not be a justice, you know? And so I started to question and look into all this information for myself. And so that kind of incorporates the whole walk away campaign, not necessarily former Democrats, but those who are just essentially waking up and leaving the narrative, the mainstream narrative. So.
Okay, co-host, my panel, please go on. You have the time.
Wow. First thing I would say, wow. That's a big wow for you. That, Mitch, that is very, very encouraging. And I will give you 2 thumbs up for doing what you're doing. That's great. Now let's have the floor for Charlotte.
All right, Mitch, I was just going to say, so watching the Kavanaugh hearings, is that sort of the turning point for you where you were watching something and you thought, this isn't right, it doesn't feel right? And is that when you started to take a look at politics more closely? Because you said before it wasn't top of mind. Was the Kavanaugh hearing what made you really think, I don't appreciate this, I don't like it?
I mean, there's multiple factors. Like I said, a lot of things on YouTube, a lot of things on Facebook, a lot of the outrage culture I started to notice, like, they're just trying to buy emotion from you. They're trying to just buy all this clickbait from you, and they're just trying to capitalize on your like rage, seeing racial intentions, like racial injustice and all this stuff. And I'm questioning, why are they so focused on this stuff, right? And so it's a lot of the mainstream media, like I said, playing upon this. And so the Kavanaugh hearing played a part. There's multiple things that played a part into it. So
you felt that you were being manipulated somewhat by the media.
Yes. At least you're not seeing the full picture, right? And so I'm a big fan of Tim Pool. He's an independent journalist. So he's doing all of this reporting that's different from what you see on mainstream media. And so obviously I watch other people too. So yeah.
Yeah, Mitch, is there a particular person who inspired you to do what you're doing now?
Not so much. If anything, I mean, it's a lot of the voices on the, like, more on the conservative side, like Candace Owens, Lauren Chen, and Brandon Tatum. Like, you know, I see all of these voices, even the smaller ones, like FLexit Talks. He does like on the street reporting. And so it's just a lot of these people who are kind of like really inspiring me to do this. And I look on YouTube and I search things on YouTube as a YouTuber, right? And so there's not a lot of Filipino voices, Filipino American voices talking about in the conservative light. And so I want to help really be a vocal and be a part of that. And so using my platform to talk about topics that deal with the Asian American Filipino community and the overall conservative voices as well. So
I asked you that because you mentioned Ben Shapiro. I am a fan of Ben Shapiro.
I love the Daily Wire. I love Michael Knowles. So I definitely a big fan of the Daily Wire as well. So
Daily Wire, great.
So Mitch, you said that you're a YouTuber. I think a lot of us are going to be curious. Have you been censored at all by YouTube or Facebook as you've gone conservative with your posts?
So I am still very much a small channel. I'm still below 1,000. So no one has really hit me or discovered me so far, for good and bad. But I'm starting to see a lot of people putting some comments on my Facebook. So nothing negative that would quote unquote cancel me, you know, but maybe that would be a good thing to see that I am someone that they are, you know, not necessarily a threat, but someone who is notable. So I'm not saying I'm looking forward to get canceled, but right now I'm still too small for them to be. I'm pennies, you know. So I'm nowhere big for them to comment yet.
Being in the military, do you encounter any hurdle or problem doing what you're doing and serving in the military?
So I am active duty, so I have to make a point, especially not to be in uniform when I'm talking any of these politics, because that is definitely against the UCMJ. So one thing that I do state in my bios and everything is that my points or my views alone, they're not reflecting of the Department of Defense or the United States Air Force. So I do want to make that clear. Like, I am not speaking on behalf of the Air Force. It's just my experience that is in the military that should be a factor, but I'm not speaking for the military, so I do want to make that point.
Are you reaching out to the Asian groups, not just the Filipino Americans, but the entire Asian group, or to be able to spread the Walkaway project that you have?
So I have not. I'm having a hard time actually finding them. Maybe I need to do more work on my side to find more of these groups. But it's more of my personal grassroots efforts. So again, being on Josie's show, it's a good opportunity for me to spread the word.
Let's give the name of your YouTube channel out there again, in case somebody's tuning in and they want to check it out. What's the name of the channel again?
So it's just my name, Mitch, M-I-T-C-H, Lozada, L-O-Z-A-D-A.
I see. Now, those that you have reached so far, do you encounter any resistance?
So I haven't done so much. I'm not sure if you're asking if I do like on the street reporting, or just ask like if I see resistance just on my YouTube.
I see. Are there more those that you have reached in YouTube? Do you get more positive results versus the negative?
So at least in my comments, a lot of people have been positive. Obviously, there's people who disagree with me, and that's totally fine. For the most part, a lot of those people are more or less civil, but some of them, you can tell, want to argue and not change their mind. They just want to kind of vent their feelings. I try to be as positive, and I try not to like degrade them, and I try not to put them down and all that stuff. And so I try to be as civil as possible. So yeah.
Did you come up with a hashtag Walkawasian?
So it's actually something that I found from the Daily Caller. There's a YouTube video from Lisa Smiley who did the Should Asians Leave the Democratic Party? And so I don't know if it was her who came up with it or it was a Daily Caller, but so the Walkawasian is something that they brought up in the video, and I'm just trying to help promote it. So when I look up on YouTube, the only two people that are talking about Walkawasian is my videos and then that one video from the Daily Caller.
You know, there are at least 20 nations when we say Asians. Is there a particular group of ethnicity that resist more or who are more receptive?
I can't tell about the people that disagree, but I can tell you the ones who are more receptive. Just through my own personal research and looking through observations on Facebook, it's the Taiwanese, the Hong Kong especially, the Vietnamese are the most, because obviously they had to deal with the communism of Vietnam and escaping from that, so they are very much vocal. I think Filipinos are the most vocal. On Facebook, there's the Filipino Americans for Trump, Pinoy Americans for Trump, as well as the Filipino Americans for Biden. So the Filipino Americans for Trump is in the 30K. The Pinoy Americans for Trump is in the 9K, and the Filipino Americans for Biden is only 2K. So definitely the Filipino Americans for Trump is a lot more vocal, a lot more active, and for good reasons. I think a lot of us are tired of what is happening. Me personally, like, I'm very religious, and I do not like seeing Bibles being burned, churches being burned, my icons being desecrated, and I don't know how other Filipinos of the Catholic faith are standing by, because this is nothing. This is really bad, and I don't understand why more Filipino Americans are not being vocal. So,
yes.
So when you say Walkawasian, does that mean you were a former Democrat?
So the name of the Walk Away campaign came from Brandon Strzok, who was a former liberal Democrat. So he started the Walk Away campaign back in 2018. And it's been doing great strides since then, having rallies and meetups and everything all throughout the nation. And so he's been doing great. And so again, his idea is for former Democrats, but it's also incorporating those who are independents, those who were not politically active. And so, yeah.
So,
Have you met or spoken to Brandon?
I have not. I am not in the realm of Brandon yet, but maybe in the future, because I'm sure that even though this is more so for the 2020 elections, this is definitely going to hold a greater impact thereafter. So even though, like I said, so even though this is for the 2020 elections, I'm sure the Walk Away campaign is going to continue because it's that important.
I asked you that question because our former guest, I believe it's Diana, she was a former Democrat, and now she's with Turning Point USA. I don't know if you know her. You know her?
I don't. I just know. I'm just familiar with Turning Point USA. So.
Okay. So I asked you if, like, you were a former Democrat, because she admitted to us that she was a former Democrat. Although her values were now the present value of being conservative, something made her change. From, let's say, her college years, she changed to conservative Republican. So did something like that happen to you, or you were always a Republican? Or are you even a Republican?
So I have grown up in a very Republican home. I would say I was probably moderate, at least going through college. I kept my conservative values, but I didn't realize how conservative I was until like later in life, I guess. So yeah.
Mitch, I have a question. There's a lot of talk in the mainstream media as to whether the military supports our current president or the military doesn't. And I know you can't speak about that as a member of the military, but do you feel that, well, I mean, what can you say about that? Do you feel that the consensus among the troops is that they support? Gosh, I know you can't say anything, but is the morale high or low? What are people saying?
Sure. I mean, like I said, like I'm just going to speak as vaguely as I can with this, but I think it's fair to say that there are representatives on both sides of the aisle, right? And so it's not one monolith. Just because we are military, we represent just one political faction, right? And so, which is good. I mean, you should have diversity within the military, but still supporting your commander-in-chief when it comes down to it. But just to drive the point, I think there's people of different political values in the military. So again, it's a point that we have to be, like, we cannot, in uniform, express overtly who we're supporting, but definitely, at least outside of uniform, I know people are very vocal. So I'll just leave it to that.
Well, I think right now that is what's happening, you know. Before, it's always, especially Filipinos, you know, if something is going on, you really don't really have the freedom to just say your opinion or share your opinion, because we're always scared. You know, Filipinos are like that. I don't know what we are scared about, especially here in America. We have all the freedom in the world. But you see, we grew up in the Philippines, whereby you respect gender, you respect title, you respect position, you just respect everybody. So you know, if they're in that position, you have to respect them. Whatever they say goes, and that's what's going on. So we brought that with us here. But right now, what's happening now, Mitch, is the values that we have deep in our heart are being triggered, you know, with the Planned Parenthood, you know, the way they disrespect the police people and the president itself. They can just curse him and telling to you know what, and it's just gone. Our moral is just really, are we really this kind of people? And inside the Filipinos' brain and mind and heart, it's not us. That's why there are a lot of people walking away from that. That sometimes people are blind. They thought, oh, everything is good, everything is free. Well, it's not that. It's an imagination. It's a fantasy that they have to wake up. You know, that's what's happening. Go ahead, Victoria.
I was, you know, a lot of friends in Facebook, they were telling me that they don't want to post in Facebook anymore or go to social media because they watch Social Dilemma. So I was telling them, what, you know, what's making you scared because of this, you know? If you are, okay, but I will ask you the question, what do you think about what they said in Social Dilemma? Should we get scared or how are we going to avoid those traps?
I think I was talking about this in depth with a friend after we were watching, and I think there's a level of critical thinking that involves, because one aspect of that documentary drama was talking about flat Earth and like falling into these conspiracies. But like as long as you have critical thinking and you can see the quote unquote traps that is whatever social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook, whatever, I think it's fine. Like I am more aware and I feel like I'm more cognitive of my posts, that I can avoid these emotional triggers that like left or right. You know, I see a lot of protesting, a lot of more of the riots, right? That should affect me negatively. Like I it's not something that I like to see. I don't like seeing the I'm going to say it, the BLM telling people to raise their fists along with them, kneeling with them and everything. And obviously they're like Marxists and they want to use their power over you, right? And so those are triggering on my side, but I'm not going to let that affect me and let that affect my emotions. I still want to clearly think what I'm doing and what I'm thinking and just being clear about and be very cognitive, like I said, of my actions and my thoughts. And so going into the social dilemma, it's an idea in which the algorithm thinks for you. And I would like, and I hope I can think beyond and be smarter than the algorithm, you know? And so we'll see. Obviously I'm a human. And so there I am still vulnerable to some psychological factors that I'm not aware of, but at the very best, I want to try to look at multiple sources and information so I don't fall in those traps. So I don't think anyone, as long as you're looking at multiple sources and trying to analyze what is the common thread, I think people are safe. And so I think the biggest portion of that is seeing what portion is of your emotions they're trying to get from you, because that's the biggest factor with Social Dilemma and social media. They want your attention the longest, the screen time, right? And so in order to have that is to trigger your emotions the longest. So for the left is anything that Trump says that is bad, so they're gonna click on it immediately. So, and then for us, if maybe like AOC or liberal meltdowns with Ruth Bader Ginsburg, you know, those some things that we watch on our side, so on my side, so.
Yeah, because for me, I think you can't avoid it. There's nothing that's a secret anymore. And let's say you're just thinking about buying something, all the ads in Facebook and everywhere, that's what you're looking for. So they already know, like you said, the algorithm. But I think the trick here is if you are tethered, if you are tied to a certain, like I said, my North Star. If you're Christian, you're Catholic, you're tethered there. No matter what they do to you, you're just going to go back to where you're supposed to be, to your core values, your principles. So that's what I tell my friends. Yeah. So what were you going to say?
I agree. And I think there's a level in which we should disconnect every now and then, you know, whether you put away your phone during dinner or something, or read a book instead of things online. So I agree with that. Like, I definitely think we should cheat the system, I guess, but like by unplugging essentially. So I think that is very important. So yeah.
All right. So, Charlotte, you're going to say something.
Well, actually, Mitch, you're obviously under the age of 30. What do you feel is the most compelling argument to tell people under the age of 30 to consider looking at conservative thought? Because it seems as though people under 30 have been so heavily courted by the Democrats. What do you think is the strongest way to reach people under the age of 30 from a conservative idea?
So just a correction, I am 34, so hopefully I just look younger than I am. So like, thank you, the Filipino genes, thank you, praise Jesus. So that's actually a question I asked myself, because I am having a hard time reaching the younger millennials and older Gen Z, right? And I see them not on Facebook. A lot of them get their political information through Instagram, all of these memes, right? For better or for worse. But sometimes memes work, but they also don't work because they don't give a whole picture, but they give a small picture. So sometimes it works if you know the context. But if you don't know the whole picture, then you're missing out on everything, right? And so I understand a lot of things on memes, just because, again, I'm fully engaged in social media and things on YouTube, and so I understand it fully. Again, I don't know how to reach the younger generation. I'm hoping that me being on YouTube and hopefully my channel becoming bigger in the future, that it becomes recommended on these younger people's feeds, because definitely they are being affected by academia coming out of with universities and everything, indoctrination really. And so it is a very hard challenge for me, but I definitely want to be part of that challenge so I can reach them as best as I can, because I definitely see the older generations, older millennials, Gen X and everything, being more educated, but it's definitely, like you said, it's the younger generations that are not. And so it just, I think it sucks, because they have this idea of Republicans being the bad ones. And if they really look into the Democrats and what the promises that they're not keeping, affirmative action, a lot of this stuff that they're not helping the Asian community in general. Like, we're not really part of their constituents, because they're looking for more of the undocumented and all those other people who may pander to them, listen to them a lot more than Asian Americans. Filipinos make like above the Asian Americans. We have one of the highest gross income, household income. I think it's Indian Americans and then Filipino Americans below that. Please fact check me on that one, but I'm pretty sure it's
I think you're right about that. Yes, I have that. I have read that, and I think it's very factual what you had said. And I believe, and I've always thought, that the reason why many Asians are not aware, they're not aware of the difference in the agenda between a GOP or Republican versus a Democrat. That's one reason we need to educate them. Once they are educated about the ideologies and agenda of both parties, then they'll say, wow, I am a Republican. Just like what happened to you. I hang out with, when I was a student, I didn't know what a Democrat, from a Republican. When I heard Reagan, when he was a governor, I said, wow, I identify with this man more than I would identify with those kids in the school. Like you said, the academia is a problem with the millennials and the Gen X.
Yeah. And I think it comes from a good intentions of, like many things, right? They have a good heart. They see things about the Black Lives Matter. I have a lot of friends who are dancers here in California as well as here in Vegas, and so they want to be with their friends in solidarity, because the dance community has a shared culture with the hip hop community. So they definitely want to share their sympathy, right? But they don't realize the leaders of Black Lives Matter, they are trained Marxists by their own admission, right? And so they have this ideology of disrupting the nuclear family, disrupting the core values, the traditional values that makes the United States. And so they don't see that. They only see the surface level, right? And that's one thing that the Democrats have used constantly. Candace Owens cites this a lot. And so like Planned Parenthood, it's not really planning parenthood, it's eliminating parenthood. And so they like to use all of these surface things that sounds good on the surface, but it doesn't, like affirmative action. It sounds good that we want to bring equality, but when we realize and we look into it, like Asian Americans are being barred from higher Ivy League schools like Harvard and stuff. And so it hurts the Asian American communities, and they don't realize it unless you do your research.
Exactly.
I was gonna tell you, so how long have you been in Las Vegas or Nevada?
I've been here since 2014. I was stationed in Japan for 2 years prior to that. And so, yeah.
Where in Japan?
I was stationed in Masawa, Japan. So that's northern Japan.
That was our base for 4.5 years.
Nice.
That is where Jokoi was born.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean,
all right.
It was very cold over there.
The reason I ask you is
I just want to say something before we continue, Vicky.
okay.
I just want to acknowledge our viewers, Risa Martinez, Jen Ko, Gidget de Guzman, Ramos, William Rutherford, and Eng Madrigal. Do you guys have any friends that have commented on your Facebook? Do you have any, Charlotte? You guys can read it right now before we continue with our interview. How about you, Vicky and Dali?
Afterward.
No, I turned off.
I know, I saw that.
I turned off my phone.
Okay, all right.
All right.
You
So-
know what? Maybe one of these days, Mitch, we can meet each other and I can take you out for lunch. You know, unfortunately, the restaurant of Joko is not here anymore, which is the Yoji before. But maybe there's a lot of Filipino restaurants, and I love sushi. And also once a month we go out for luncheon with the panel of the show, and maybe we can invite you, and maybe we can guest you again in the future. You know, so okay. So who wants to ask the next question?
I still have a question.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
That's fine. So you moved here 2014. So what are the organizations that like you have either joined or are in contact with? Because I asked this question because I want to know how to increase your base. And if you increase your base of followers, then you are able to inform a lot of people. So networking is very important. Like I'm a networker here in Las Vegas. So I was wondering, what are the organizations that you work with, like with the Republican Party or the youth organization or the Students for Trump or the Young Republicans? Tell me.
So that's actually a good thing that I need to look into personally. I'm not really, I need to network more because I haven't. The only organizations that I've been here is I was on a dance team here in Las Vegas, True Fam. I do part Bible studies at my church. So we networked there. We actually, a bunch of us that were pro-life went to the Trump rally this past weekend, or the weekend before. And so there's that. And then I do have friends at UNLV who are the Rebels for Life, the pro-life organization at UNLV. So those are the small connections I have, but I definitely will take your advice of networking and further, connecting with other people so that.
No, okay. So it's like this. I realized when you were telling me who are your idols or people that influenced you, and they're all out of state. So I would suggest, just listen to, let's say, AM 720 and AM 790, the radio, and then try to meet those people because they are mostly conservatives. And then Wayne Allen Root has an event on Wednesday, the 30th. I think that's the 30th. That's a really big event. That's where you get to know all the, different organizations and all the officers and all that stuff. If you need help, call me. Because I trained before with Americans for Prosperity. they're really great because they have a lot of youth organizations. And I understand that you're not that young or that old, so you're right in the middle. So they have trainings for that too. It's called grassroots training. So once you get into that, you're able to connect with all the young people, the older ones, or the grassroots organizations. So you can find me in Facebook. We can be friends.
So,
Okay.
Mitch, what month in 2014 did you arrive in Vegas?
I
What
got
month?
here.
Remember?
Yes, it was in September. So
September. The reason why I asked that was because I remember, if I remember vividly, October of 2014, when same-gender marriage became legal in Las Vegas, and there were only 2 ministers who actually opposed to that. So all the channels, network, main network all over the United States bombarded me with a lot of questions. I'll open the door at the chapel, and they were. So since you are a very staunch believer, or a staunch Republican and a believer, what did you think about that? Did it hit you? Because it was a big news in Vegas and all over the world. Even BBC interviewed me about that, the same gender marriage.
Oh boy, we better be careful.
I didn't take that news big at that time, I guess. I wasn't paying attention, maybe. So I lean more libertarian on that view. So as a Catholic, of course, I believe in marriage between man, woman, and God, right? And so, but I do believe I do subscribe to the libertarian perspective that, marriage equality. So I am fine with it. Especially on a secular level, but as a Catholic, yeah, I definitely believe in the man, woman, and God. But for those who take the libertarian route, I respect that. So
Okay, well, it's good to know where you really stand when it comes to being a GOP or Republican. Okay, thank you for answering that question.
Yeah.
And the nice thing is, if you look at the Walk Away campaign, people like Brandon Strong, there's a quite deep bench of people who are also in the LGBT community who identify as Republican. It's just you don't hear about that because that's not what you're going to hear on CNN. But there are a lot of people who are conservative and who are in the LGBT community.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
I think there's a level in which, and looking at the Walk Away campaign, looking at even some YouTubers, I think there's an idea in which there's more conservative LGBT. If anything, it's kind of like the line just drawn at the LGB side. T is questioning. I'm definitely like, even though I have friends of LGB, like I don't think a lot of, well, me personally, I'm not down for pronouns. I'm not down for doing hormone blockers on children. And obviously I believe that there's 2 genders, and so that's where my conservative line like leans in. So I'm cool. I think as of like 2015, when Love Wins, I think that was when people realized, okay, we got the win, right? And then everything else is towards the T side, right? And so that's where they're pushing the lines over the edge. And so a lot of the mainstream conservative LGBs like, hey, we're good, and it's like, a lot of them are like, I don't know what you're talking about these bathroom changes and everything. And so again, I can't speak for all of them, but like for me, that's where I draw the line. It's like marriage equality is good, or at least that's where it's fine. And then everything beyond that is like is asking for extra rights. So extra privileges and everything. So
Has being so outspoken cost you any friendships? Have you had any problems? Have people thrown milkshakes at you? Any backlash yet?
not yet. And so I try to be not so heavily political, like with my friends, right? Because obviously I have friends who lean liberal and who are in the middle. So I try not to be divisive, right? But I will tell them like, hey, these are my thoughts. And, you know, like, and so far the friends that I have chosen in my life respect my thoughts, and as well I respect theirs. And, you know, if there's someone who cannot have me in their life, you know, then say la vie. I don't know. So, yeah.
Charlotte, you mentioned earlier, I think before we went on the air, that about the passing of Justice Ginsburg, changing the subject on everyone. Shall we say something about that? What do you think? Chairman, President Josie, Chairman Josie,
Go ahead.
Josie.
It's an open forum.
Yeah, ask Mitch his opinion about it. Should we replace
It's your opinion, whatever.
What do you think, Mitch? Should we
Oh,
replace her?
fill that seat. Fill that seat now. Like,
Right away. Yes,
I am really excited about this. I mean, not her passing. Obviously, rest in peace. And she did great things for her job, right?
And for women.
For women, exactly. And so this is a game changer. And I know that Trump, already in the Ohio live stream of the rally right now, he is saying that he's going to announce it this Saturday. He said it might be a woman. I think it's going to be Amy Coney Barrett, who is also a fellow Catholic. She has 7 kids. 2 kids is adopted from Haiti. So if they say that she's a racist, I think you need to check again. And you know, being a woman, they're going to have a hard time using the Me Too against her. So the next best thing is that they're probably going to say that she's a Catholic zealot, a religious fanatic. I'm pretty sure that's the line that they're going to go with. But definitely fill the seat, because we definitely need it. The one thing that I agree with people online is that whether we follow the rules or not follow the rules, the Republicans are going to be the bad guys. So if Trump can be impeached on election year, we can definitely fill the seat in election year too. So y'all want to play this rule, so we'll do it. So fill the seat.
I love it that you brought that up. It's true.
They will use impeachment for President Trump not to be able to appoint a nominee or select a nominee.
Yes.
And Mitch McConnell had said, we're going to do it. It's going to happen, because there were at least 4 justices in the past where they were approved or voted on 19 days, 24 days. The longest was, I think, Justice Ginsburg, rest in peace, about 44 days.
Yes.
Well,
So-
you know, of course, if the shoe was on the other foot, there's no way in the world that they would delay doing a vote if it was the Democrats in charge.
Exactly.
So, they'd be like, of course.
Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, they were using I think it was Garland. Judge Garland was nominated by Trump's predecessor, and he did not become the justice, and they were using it as an example. Why didn't they allow him? It never happened. Didn't happen. But this time, I think Trump is within the constitutional right, to appoint, to nominate.
They never did a vote on Merrick Garland because they actually didn't have to. And if they had done a vote, it would have been voted down because the Republicans were in charge. So rather than have their people voted down, they just decided not to hold the vote.
That's right.
But that was their, politically, that was their prerogative, and it would have been the same way on the other side.
Yeah, Republicans have the power now to be able to do it. And I pray that they do that before election. And I hope Amy Barrett becomes justice. She is the best candidate, I think.
Mitch, you should run for a government position.
I laugh about that. Maybe after I retire from the military, because I am looking to do my 20 years, maybe going public office would be my next career path.
How many more years in the service?
So I'm 9 in, so 11 more years. So way too
You're still young. You'll be still young.
Yep.
Yes.
It should be what, 40 plus.
And by the way, thank you for your service.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you for your service.
Yes. Salute.
And I will be. I promise you, I will be your campaign manager if I'm still alive.
11 years. Come on. That'll be great.
I'm still healthy. I take all my vitamins though. That's one thing. I'll be very strong, you know.
You're forever young, Josie.
Oh, I'm forever young.
That's right.
You know. Well, anyways, back to the why you mentioned a while ago. You know, a lot more Filipinos are coming out and sharing their opinions, and all of that is because, again, let's go back to our ideology and our moral values and all of that. Filipinos are number one with that. We are not what we are. I don't know the percentage now of our religion sector in the Philippines. Before we are like what, 90%.
90% Catholics, not anymore. Yes,
right, not anymore. That's what I'm saying. But still, it's there. You know, it's there. Our value and all of that. So actually, you know, I think that really puzzled me, that your comment a while ago that, you know, you don't know why some Filipinos, you know, are really getting to the left. You know, after all, we must have or should have the same mentality because of the value that we have. Majority of Filipinos stem out to be a Catholic, you know, a God-loving people, respect people and all of that. And for some reason, more of them are going back to that area whereby a lot of negativism is being implanted there. And I'm not happy with that. That's why this open forum, I'm really glad that all the people that are with us today are really, we are all in one thought. And with you, a young man there, 11 more years before you retire, you are going the right route. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, Mitch, I'm looking at your Facebook page, and you're wearing a shirt, a black shirt that says "The Living Person." What does it mean?
That's actually a Catholic brand. The Living Person is, they do like Catholic T-shirts and all that stuff. So it's just one of the shirts that I bought and got from that group. So there's the Romantic Catholic is another good brand of Catholic T-shirts that I wear. So it's just the name of the brand. It's the Living Person, like the living water that is Jesus. And so
okay, perfect.
No.
Okay,
Mitch,
Mitch, my friend, the owner of Vegas Magazine, my Vegas Magazine, Alan Schaefer. Okay, so his shirt says, "God owns my body."
It's Mark Schaefer, I think.
Mark Schaefer. Yeah.
Schaefer.
So it says, "God owns my body." So I thought, you know, your shirt, "The Living Person." What is it? So now I know what it is. The living water, life, and everything. Okay, go, Charlotte.
I was going to say, as a YouTuber, Mitch, how much do you discuss religion, politics? Do you have different themes that come up in your videos, and how long are your videos? Are you trying to keep them 5 minutes in length? What's your strategy as a YouTuber?
Sure. So I quote my thing as like current events, reviews, and pop culture. So I do a lot of TV and movie reviews. I love talking about the themes and the mythology that comes in movies. And I play that along with my social political commentary. So again, I do a lot of social commentary on my channel as well. And so a lot of my viewers tend to watch my commentary versus my TV movie reviews, but obviously they're still there for my TV reviews. And so I try to keep my videos within 10 to 20 minutes. So not super long, but enough that, you know, grabs people's a good discussion. And then, yeah, I talk a lot of social commentary. So I'm not sure if you're familiar. One of the later last videos I did was Barkada Winery in Washington, D.C. I'm not too sure if you guys were familiar with that story. So it was a story in which there was these 4 white guys who decided to name their winery Barkada. And then from the Filipino groups, there's people on both sides saying, how can you do cultural appropriation? I was on the side of, it's fine. Nothing that they were doing was derogatory. Nothing in the menu was actually Filipino. There was no Filipino decorations. They were just, they were stating in their description, they wanted to find a word that means friends and hospitality and good times. And they saw the name Barkada, and they had friends who were Filipino, and it perfectly emulated what they wanted. And I think that I agreed with them. Like, they wanted to make a positive word out of Barkada. And a lot of people, the woke left, were just having like, you're stealing our language, you're stealing our things. And so I wasn't having anything of it. So that's one of my other videos that I put out on my channel. So,
which is ridiculous, actually. That is really ridiculous. Just to use the name Barkada, it offended a lot of people. I mean, come on, you don't own that word. It is a word for everybody to use.
Yeah.
And you should be glad that, hey, Barkada, yeah, that's
right.
You know,
So-
So,
one of the arguments was Barkada was supposed to be so casual that it was supposed to be beer and balutan or something. And so, but the winery was upscale using wine and cheese and all this stuff. And so why wouldn't you want to upscale Barkada? You know, it's something that's positive. Like we all understand what Ohana means by Disney, Lilo and Stitch. You know, any person knows Ohana means family. How amazing would it be to talk to a normal person and say Barkada means your close group of friends, and it's second nature, right? And so we only can do that when we exposes our culture. But it's these woke left who's trying to saying you're stealing our culture. So definitely disagree.
wow, how narrow-minded was that? It was narrow-minded. Hey, Mitch, do you have anybody, family or friends who would suggest a certain topic or issue that you would talk about, or is it all from you?
For the most part is me. So I'm glad that I'm able to come up with my own content, but I do have friends who say like, hey, you might want to look into this and all that stuff. So it's a little bit of both, but for the most part, I think it's coming from me, which is good. I mean, it means that I can think of good content to create, because that's the biggest factor when it comes to being a YouTuber, is when you can actually create content a lot.
Yeah.
You know? And so,
How often do you try to post as a YouTuber? Is it once a week, every 2 days? What do you try to hit?
So I've been trying to stick to a schedule of Mondays and Fridays. Obviously, I work full time, and so I do have a hard time keeping to that schedule. But for the most part, I try to do at least once a video a week on a Monday, and so, yeah.
Will you say a few words
Okay,
to your viewers?
Okay, Dali, we have 4 minutes to go. We have 4 minutes to go. So let's go ahead and ask Mitch to just say a goodbye or a last word to the listeners, because the election is what, 50, how many days before election right now?
Yeah.
Dali?
44?
Okay, we have a few days before election. Just kind of talk to the audience right now. Talk to the audience of Open Forum.
That's
Sure.
good.
So again, thank you so much for Josie to having me on this channel and promoting not just myself, but for the overall cause. So I do want to promote the hashtag Walkawasian, hashtag Filipino Exit, hashtag Filipino FLexit, because it is important for us, because a lot of the Filipino values are conservative values. Me personally, my core values is God, family, country. And so I definitely believe that it is something that's integral for Filipinos to go back to. And, you know, there is a conversation to have of what liberal values we have, but in the core, what we have is conservative. And we need to recognize that the dangers of losing our country, losing our values, is going from the Marxists, this socialism, this communism. And so these are the people who are burning our churches, burning our Bibles, desecrating our icons. So maybe you don't like Trump, that's fine. But you got to see the dangers of the Democrats and what they are pandering to, what they are enabling, and what they're allowing to happen and destroy our country. So maybe you don't like Trump, but definitely you have to stand for your Filipino-American values, for God, for family, for country. So you can follow me at my YouTube at Mitch Lozada, MITCHLOZADA. So thank you again for having me, and I hope more people share this with your nieces and nephews and sons and daughters, because definitely we need the younger voices to start standing up as leaders. So
That's great. Very great.
Dolly, just do it.
Oh, I just wanted to thank Mitch for being here this evening, and the members of the panel. And I've learned a lot from you, and I hope that a lot of Filipino Americans will just walk away.
Mitch, thank you so much for being here. It's nice to see that there are people. I can. You're 34, so you're not that young, but you're a lot younger than me, so I consider you young. That there are young people who are willing to speak out with conservative ideas, and that we're not all a cookie cutter. You can be in any different type of community and still appreciate conservative values, especially conservative economics, and especially capitalism as a way of improving a society as opposed to socialism, which wrecks it. So thank you for speaking out and being unafraid to do that.
Yes.
Okay, so Mitch, thank you so much. I think this doesn't end our conversation. We can continue later on. I just found you in Facebook, so I friended you. And I'll invite you and other people to watch again on Monday, the 28th of September at 6 p.m. We're going to be here. All right, love you guys.
Dolly, have you
What's
spoken?
I did.
I was not connected a while ago. My internet
I know.
was not right. Okay.
Oh.
Thank you
Wow.
for listening, Marianne. Thank you so much. And Mitch, thank you so much for guesting our show. We will invite you again. Thank you for such a beautiful message. So to all our listeners and viewers, thank you so much for following us. Bye, people. I love you all.
Happy birthday.
Bye. God bless America.
God bless.
Okay, bye.
Bye.